Hey everybody, it's April 15th. It's Thursday. I'm going to go over a couple of trades today. Almost exclusively did what I call grid scalping. And my 25 tick target, 25 tick stop loss. Now, I don't really recommend this to a lot of people unless you've got a lot of experience with NQ, but some of the price action hasn't been overly volatile lately. This was getting later in the day, almost 11 o'clock. I hadn't traded much this morning and I had taken a small loss, so I was down a little bit. And we were mostly in a very large uptrend. We had a pullback, kind of pulled back twice here and failed, and I started seeing some momentum happening to the upside. So you can see I've marked off these little grids where I expect price to maybe have some issues or bounce. So I'm trying to time myself and get in with some 25 tick scalps. So I'm going to show some of that. Most of these I'll speed up because they do take a little while to actually hit the targets. Okay, here's one. You can see we've attempted this area a couple of times. I have the belief that usually if we have some momentum a third time through an area, generally will break. And I've got this speeded up. It's not ripping, as you can see. It takes a while. And it hits the target. So that's 4 contracts on 25 ticks. It was almost 25 ticks. Um, Now we really start going, and I assumed that there were definitely some stops up here. And I took something I wouldn't generally take, which is a break of the highs of the days, but there just seemed to be a lot of momentum, and I expected it to really keep going. There wasn't any real resistance. And it hesitates and kind of hangs out. Kind of a nerve wracking trade. I, at this point, was kind of wishing I hadn't taken it. Um, as you can see, this is the type of price action that just wiggles around a little bit, and you don't know if it's going to suddenly move down or up. And again, this is speeded up. And I decided if I got anywhere near that target, I was just going to close it out. All right, so small winner indeed, but anyhow. All right, a few minutes later, we started showing some real momentum to the downside. And I wasn't real enthused initially about taking any trades because they seemed very counter trend to the overall uptrend we were getting. But I decided to go ahead and give it a try. Had a small pullback here. My target again is only about 25 ticks. I've actually moved it. It was 25 ticks was about here, so it's closer to 20 because I don't want it to have to again work through this area. And since we're in such a strong trend, we could see some bouncing, and I thought it could go back up. So I'm going to forward that a little bit. And I've been taking to watching some of these more on my 15-second chart because it's a little easier on the eyes. You can see I put my stop to break even, and then it hit about almost the 20 ticks, not quite. Again, a very small scalp, but starting to add up a little. All right, and a little bit later, we had a kind of a double fail at this area. Kept seeing some momentum, knew I had a little bit of space here, And when I say grid scalping, you can see what I mean. I've mapped out little grids where I think price can get to, and then after that, I'm not sure if it'll bounce or what have you. This trade caused a little bit, almost gets stopped out. Doesn't exactly move the way I wanted it to. So you can see here, I'm like 2 ticks from my stop. Not liking it. Um, Again, 25 tick stop loss is very tight, even with this slow price action. And I was about to get out of the trade and it started picking up speed, and that was a full winner there. Okay, so you can see the pattern here. We get through a grid, we bounce, we fail to get back through the previous grid, and after a couple of fails, and I'm seeing some movement down, it's another entry. And again, these are all counter the 5-minute charts and some of the things that we were seeing. But again, the trend that I'm seeing on this chart, a lot, if I'm going with the candles on this chart, I'm going the right way. And that's why I just started using this the other day. It gives me a little added confirmation on my faster time frames. The 2-minute and the 5-minute are quite lagging compared. And you can see this is really starting to pick up some selling. Hit that little snag here, it's bouncing. What I want to make sure is that it doesn't get through this grid now and start getting up here, then I'll get stopped out. But as you can see, we pass through a grid, it retests, and it goes to the next area. Now I'm trying to get through this little area to get to here. And I don't think too many people really can map out their charts like that. Or, I mean, they can, they just don't. But you can see, and I'm going to pause this for a minute, how, look what it did. It hit this area, bounced, came down here, bounced, and yes, you could take a trade all the way up here and hold it all the way down, but since it was so counter trend, would you really want to do that? And every time we'd see some upward move, you'd think, oh, the buying's resuming. But instead of me guessing, oh, we're going to buy from here, I'm waiting to see, are we going to pass through here? Now let's say this all of a sudden started an upward campaign and it started showing me that it was working its way through this area. Then I'd start taking longs. So I never want to guess, oh, we're going to buy from here, or oh, we're going to buy from here. Show me that you're working through the levels. I hope that makes sense. Okay, that's it.